doing our best in the fight in Texas, trying to get that same thing going down here. It's been an interesting week seeing how politics plays out in the great state of Texas. I'm a little shocked at some of what I've seen. It almost looks like a Saturday Night Live skit in some ways, or maybe your lieutenant governor is the guy that was the weird preacher from the movie Footloose, didn't want the kids to dance, or something along that line. But I want to tell you about our message from the Grunt Style Foundation. I want to tell you a little bit about myself to kind of give a little context what we're about to say. So my name is Wisner. I am the executive director of the Grunt Style Foundation. I'm an Army veteran of Iraq. I spent 12 of my 15 months in Iraq at Combat Outpost Cache, which was conveniently located in the Al-Tawatha nuclear complex. So if you remember back before the war, if you're that old, whenever the United Nations guys were in the big white hazmat suits looking for those weapons of mass destruction we somehow never found, that's where we lived. We put a combat outpost in that, and we lived in it. And came out of that deployment in June of '08. And I became very sick, and most of the guys in my platoon became very sick. We had a lot of weird cancers. We had a lot of weird neurological issues. And my experience with it was going to the VA. I was able to share, hey, this are my concerns, this is my background and what it is that I think that I'm dealing with. And I got about 3 minutes of time with my care provider, and then I was given pills, psychotropic pills, to help with PTSD, which admittedly I had some issues I needed to work through, and that's what my authority figure from my doctor was telling me, so that's what we did. And that did not help matters. In fact, it put me into a weird spiral. I was still lucky enough that I was in that percentage of folks that made it through. I was still fairly high functioning. I like to say I was a high functioning train wreck for about 10 years while trying to sort out how I was supposed to live life. And the big lesson there is I had to get off those pills. And our message today, I want to preface this by saying if you are someone that is treating an issue with one of these psychotropics, whether it's an antidepressant, a benzodiazepine, or an SSRI, I'm not encouraging anyone to get off of these things in a quick manner. You have to titrate off those things slowly. They can be quite dangerous. In fact, you may have heard we are losing somewhere between 22 and 44 veterans a day to suicide. And that epidemic number is not going down. In fact, according to last year's VA suicide report, we had about a 12% increase. So what is going on here? We know that over the last 6 years, or 5 years I believe it is, the federal government has spent over $15 billion, with a B, dollars in suicide prevention through the VA system. And somehow we are left with a 12% increase in our suicide rates. Well, what is going on with this? Well, we think that we can make a direct correlation over to these psychotropic medications. We know that 68% of all veterans in the VA healthcare system are on these psychotropic medications. We know that one of the primary side effects of we know that one of the major side effects of these psychotropic pills is an increase in suicidal ideation. So if you're somebody like me that was coming in from like concerns over cancer and neurological problems, and I'm not suicidal, now I'm being given pills, it's going to increase my level of suicidal ideation. We know that people that are on these meds are 3 times as likely to commit suicide as those that are not. That's crazy. So we're taking people that aren't suicidal, giving them pills to maybe make them suicidal, and then we're taking veterans that are suicidal, trying to figure out how to navigate that mess while navigating the nightmare that is the VA system, which can be torture on its own, and we're giving them medication that increases that suicidal ideation again. There's also this little fun gem that about 50% of everybody on these medications suffers some form of sexual dysfunction. So now just imagine if you weren't suicidal before, and you got that on your plate now, it's not good odds in your favor. So that's the nature of the problem. So what is our proposed solution? Number one, we want informed consent. Because as a veteran, when you go into the VA health system, you're lucky to get 2 to 5 minutes with your healthcare provider, and it's almost inevitably going to lead to more pills. And if you're asking to come off the pills, it's very likely they're going to increase the dosage level on your pills. That is the reality that we are in. So we want informed consent before you ever agree to take these pills. We want the doctor to explain to you, here are the benefits, here are the risks. I can also tell you a little bit about the benefits. Studies have shown conclusively across the board on these things. They are about as effective for mild to moderate levels of health issues as a placebo. It's not until you get into a crisis level issue that these things begin to show their efficacy. So they're not even working. So that's on one hand. We want people educated on the risks, also what benefits may be there and who it is appropriate for. And we also want them informed that these things are damn near impossible to come off on your own. In fact, it is very dangerous. These are not medications that lead to addiction, because it's not addiction. Nobody's addicted to these pills. What they are is they're dependent upon these pills, because if you try to come off of these pills too fast, there's a nasty little thing called akathisia, which is where you start feeling you got lightning bolts zapping across your brain at all the time. You feel like you're in a car with one window down, and you got that weird air pressure that's coming in, whoop, 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 just like that. These are the things that drive people to suicide, especially when you go back to those people that are supposed to be your support network and your doctor that's taking care of you, and you're basically scolded for trying to be a grifter and take too much money from the government. So just have more pills and shut up. So that's kind of the reality we're in. So that's what we're trying to break. What is our proposed solution? Well, I can tell you, because I also have gone down that road of healing. Had to find it on my own. I came into the plant medicine world back before there were really any Sherpas or coaches to kind of guide you through it. In fact, my path was very unique. I had not so much as smoking a single joint of marijuana in my life the first time I sat with ayahuasca. And I can tell you one thing, I healed probably close to, I guess at that point, about 9 years, I guess I was into my cycle before I had that encounter. And I liberated 9 years of extreme issues with post-traumatic stress, survivor's guilt, imposter syndrome, and all the other fucked up weird stuff from my childhood. All came along in that very incredible modality of dimethyltryptamine delivered by the way of grandmother, of ayahuasca. Everybody in our foundation has been down that road. Everybody in our foundation is a combat vet that has gone through that meat grinder that is the VA. And almost all of us, we've still got a couple folks that are on the path still to get there, have engaged these other alternative treatment modalities. Ayahuasca is not our only message. We support that this idea that there is no one single silver bullet, there's no guru that's going to tell you how to find your way to healing. You are going to be the one that finds your own way to healing. So the job of our foundation is to go out and expose as many people, veterans, first responders, patriots, general public, whoever. We want to expose them to the fact that there is a mind, body, spirit approach to healing, and the essential ingredient that is the key that unlocks it is finding what it is that speaks to your heart. Whether that's riding a motorcycle, whether that's working with horses, whether that's doing art, whether that's cannabis, whether that's ayahuasca, it does not matter to us. We are just encouraging people to take a look around and find what is there and reject the status quo. So that's why we're here today, is to share that message and give everybody an insight into the world of the veteran experience. You just heard my good friend Mitch Fuller, who's the National Legislative Director for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He's also a member of our board of directors, so we're very fortunate to have Mitch in that capacity. But this is a little bit of the background story, is kind of what's fueling that fire you heard from Mitch coming up. Because to us it is personal. And we are here for the fight. We are down for the fight. And we watched our fathers and our uncles from our generation before us come back and deal with issues like Agent Orange. And we refuse to carry on and pass on that, well, at this point, amounts to generational trauma, and giving it to those veterans that come behind us. So we're going to go in and we're going to fix this system as best as what we are able. And if we don't get it done, by God, they're going to know that we were there and they had one hell of a fight. So coming up here on June the 5th, I don't know if anybody's able to get out to Washington.